I'm not going to solo a lot of them, but hold on one second. So ideally, you want to layer, depending on how you are. If you're like me, you want to layer as much as you can until you get the sound that you're after. So the sound that you're hearing from the drums should be appealing in the low end, like the far low end, like sub, should be appealing in the low mids, should be appealing in the mids, the high mids, and the highs. So everything in the frequency should be covered by the drums, contrary to popular belief. So your snare should indeed have low end. Your hi-hats should indeed have some mid-range, depending on how you're going about it. Because you want each sound to complement each other, and you want to have a really nice blend. Not saying take it all and smash it until they're all fucking same RMS and everything, but you want to ideally make the sound as good as you can before you start mixing them in. Or get at least as close to the sound as you can. So this is originally all I really... Well, that's the bass. I'll take the bass out and all the side shit. All the side layers. And this is what you got. So a lot of people would start with something that sounds kind of like that. It's almost that time. But, so now the first thing I notice is that everything's in fucking mono. The kick has no bass. It has no top end to complement it either. Which, it also depends on the snare. Depends on which way you're going with it. But, like I said, right now the kick isn't really standing out as it should as it sits. And there's no stereo in this at all. There's a little bit in the snare, but not enough to say it's actually side. So I added these layers. There we go. That's a side. It's super subtle, but it opens up the mix just a little bit from what I wanted, because I've got a really big snare that's wide. And that is right here. So now I've got a clean stereo image of exactly what I want. I've got the kick in the middle and the snare and everything. So that way it's nice and big and it can help drive the mix and whatever. So now, I would add different elements to help attenuate the drums. So it would actually be about right here that you could actually get the idea that I was getting. I'm just going to loop this because this is like everything. So I would have added this. So that right there is universal, and it'll fit into pretty much anything, and it works. By itself, it sounds super natural, and you should be able to hear, you can just throw sounds at it. And then from this point, I would start introducing sounds. So what is this going to be dancing on top of? So no EQ or effects at this point. Well, all the extra shit, there's a shit ton of reverb and delay, and not really EQ. I usually don't EQ. Yeah, this has no EQ, it's just sidechain. That has reverb, has a little EQ. I pulled some of the low end out. Which that's just one little like top end hit at the beginning of each like few bars or something. So that's why it's like that. But that's just reverb, delay, reverb, reverb, delay, reverb, Haas, reverb, EQ. Actually, James did this one. And it's this. That's all it is. So I wouldn't have EQ'd that, but whatever. Oh no, it was, yeah, that was it. Really nothing magical. So, but again, from that point, if you want to like get the drums in their entirety, before you want to make them as generic as you can at first, add something, and then build the drums up on top of what you have. So what we had was this kick, the snare with a little bit of stereo width, because now it had the fatter snare on the sides, and we had this extra just percussive stuff that's kind of dancing around it and giving it a little more groove. So I'm going to bring the bass in, which is probably this guy. Oh no, wait, there's another sample that's not supposed to be on yet. This guy. Here we go. Oh, whoops. So now you can hear that snare that's on the side is really bright and it's sticking out in a way that's not really complementing what the bass is because there's not much there. So I would then go and add another bass line right on top of that because clearly that's not much. So that would be more bass shit. This guy right here. So that's starting to sound like something now. And then as you do that, you start adding samples, like what will complement that, what will sound good with what. I ended up adding more samples in to help widen up the drums a little more, because as you can hear, the snare was kind of getting buried, but I added in some stuff to the sides to help brighten it up just a little bit so it'll punch through harder. And then obviously there's the bass to the kick. And then that, in essence, is what this track is. So what I'll typically do is start with something very generic, then I'll get an idea going, and then I'll start adding the fine details to it. Because it just makes it easier that way to cycle through ideas. Because like in the other track I'm doing, the one with the really kind of like lo-fi sounding drums, the percussion that I have in the drums, I put those in before I made that bass line. So they don't really fit very well. So it just helps guide your sound design in the right direction if you want to keep those drums. Or I could just swap those samples out and do something else. But unfortunately, I like those samples better than I do the fucking bass line. So, but in the end, you get a whole bunch of fucking bullshit. So yeah, just quick recap. When you're doing drums and shit, the best way to do it that I found is, again, make just a generic loop that can work with anything. Just cookie cutter drums. Then start incorporating elements. Oh, hey, what's up, Kindred? Then start incorporating elements to it to start making it a track, and then start doing fine details to the drums. Because that's my workflows, because I change shit so much, is I need something that's generic that can help guide me through it for the meantime, because I'm probably going to change the idea anyways as this progresses. And if I've got little nooks and crannies in here, like stupid little samples that are bouncing around, and some reason they don't fit, I can just take them out. And then I still have the rest of the drums right there, because they weren't relying on that. So, oh no, here we go. This would be the sample shit that's specifically for this bass line, that I know it works because I built it around this bass line. It's this shit right here. So, hey, what's up, Guy Doer? Thanks for the sub, bro. Where the fuck have you been? I haven't seen you in a minute. Holy shit. Welcome back to the fucking... I don't know. Welcome back. I know this would be called the rant. So, these would be the elements that are for this bass line. So if I want to change the bass line, I would just take these out, and then everything else would work. So that's kind of how I do drums. I make it generic as fuck, and then I spruce it up for that bass line, something that'll help groove with it. Been playing poker? Oh shit. Oh shit. But so yeah. And then typically by the time you get done, you've got a full fucking track. Because once you fill the drums in, it fills everything in.